We do want to go out now to Southern California, Los Angeles specifically. Fox 11 there over a police chase, a pursuit happening as we speak of a shooting suspect. Let's watch.
Hopefully law enforcement has a better idea of where this person is than we do, but you see them urgently moving this direction, and let's see if we can get a sense of where this person is.
Hard to tell. You have to wonder where this person thinks they are going, being that they're here on surface streets now.
It doesn't seem like they know where they're going. I mean, just having seen this. So the driver, you see the law enforcement helicopter back on surface streets, and is that the vehicle there? Okay.
You know, we talk about why suspects like this flee in such a dangerous manner. You know, and we would have police experts on, but in the past, Alex, and they would say, I don't think this person is a stranger to law enforcement or even to incarceration. The way this person is working so hard to get away with no regard for anybody else there on the streets, in their vehicles, even their own life, you have to wonder if this person perhaps has been in prison before.
Right.
Perhaps doesn't want to go back again anytime soon.
So this would be a place to, like, pit maneuver him right here. Are they going to try to do it? Look, they got an opening. He's not driving that fast.
Except he's a shooting suspect. Yeah. Get back to that.
Right.
Does that person have a gun right there?
Right, and clearly they look desperate. Okay, so now this suspect is a little boxed in. Where are they going to go? I mean, at least until this light turns green.
Oh, police doors open?
Are they going to try to do something? God, you feel for all those other cars that are nearby. Man, what a scary situation to all of a sudden be driving and trying to go out to the gym or go out to a restaurant nearby, and then all of a sudden you're caught in the middle of this.
Can you imagine looking right there across at that driver?
Like, what is happening? Where do I go? And not being able to go anywhere because there's so much traffic there. So this is Crenshaw Boulevard and 102nd Street in Inglewood, where we're looking at now this traffic backup. And is the car there trying to move into another lane? Oh, God.
And to the left, oh gosh, look at that move.
Oh no.
Really?
Whoa.
Is he
on the sidewalk?
Is he thinking that police are not going to follow into, well, they did, right there into that parking lot. Boy, you sure wish you could get boxed in, but this driver obviously willing to go, as you saw there, on two sidewalks.
Guys. Yeah. So now they're yeah, sometimes we see these drivers go back to their hometown or go back to their neighborhood. It does. It appears like this driver is just driving randomly, kind of not knowing, not having a plan, but just knowing that they are going to do everything humanly possible to try to resist being taken into custody, potentially being taken into custody again. Ooh, almost a mix there. You just hope against hope that this thing doesn't end with a car being hit.
And, you know, we may not know for some time the nature of the shooting. This is, again, a shooting suspect. So many of these we cover, Alex, are perhaps a DUI or wanted for a failure to yield kind of thing, and they escalate into some kind of pursuit. But this is a shooting suspect, already a violent act. Police are wanting this person for. Did it happen today? Were they following this person? They found their suspect? Did it happen some other time? That's something that we'll probably find out perhaps by the 10 o'clock news.
And then you also, you know, involved with a shooting suspect compared to like a failure to yield or something. If you really are responsible for that, you know, you could be behind bars for the rest of your life. So this could be this person's last sort of gasp of freedom. And they think, what else do I have to lose? If they really are guilty of this, and who knows?
So we picked this up around the South LA area to start, Inglewood on the 105, and we're back in the South LA area. We were back in Inglewood. And as we've covered so many of these pursuits, does it tell you that this person is more comfortable and familiar with the streets in this area? Is this an area that they know, that they perhaps where they live? The person hasn't gotten back on other freeways. Person hasn't gone to a number of other communities that we haven't mentioned in this newscast already. We are here staying in the Inglewood area, which can often be very telling to police.
Yeah, look
at Randy's Donuts there? Is that the big donut there?
That is it. That is that iconic spot. So that means we are near the freeway, and we will see, to your point, Christine, if they get on the freeway or not, as we are now on Normandy and 96th in Inglewood. Wow. Yeah, this driver really, really going fast. I mean, they are moving at, high for a freeway speed on side streets, which means that if this person was, since now they're driving potentially on the wrong side of the road again, if they were, to crash into somebody, potentially even head on, that could be deadly for everybody involved with the driver at that sort of speed.
And we have seen so many times where police back off a pursuit. They're staying on this one. And I'm thinking it's because it's the nature of the crime here, a shooting suspect. We've had Dennis Zion, a former LAPD officer, now reserve officer, talk about how we can't just let people go. So sometimes their want is perhaps a little less serious than a shooting suspect, where there might be a victim alive or dead, and their family members we have to think about as well. But it looks like this one, police are not letting this go. They're not, turning this into a follow.
And if this person is that desperate, as they certainly appear to be now, what else could they potentially do if left to their own devices as well? And that would be something that law enforcement would be criticized for. Why didn't you stop him or her when you had the chance? But it is a not an art, not a science, and there's not always the right answer, and these decisions are being made in real time, not only with the thought of law enforcement's safety, but the safety of the public itself, in terms of how much to pursue and how much not to. And there is not always a right answer, because it's complicated in terms of that determination. And usually whatever happens bad, they get blamed for either way.
Mm-hmm.
And oftentimes get sued for a lot of money.
Yeah. Well, again, I'm going to go back to the nature of the want on this, which we don't see every time we do a pursuit, a shooting suspect. And so police really seem to want to catch this person or stop this person. So I'm curious to find out from police what happened here with this shooting. Again, we're still in the South LA area. Suspect has not gotten back on freeways. Possibly could have made their way to a freeway if they know where to find the freeway. Doesn't look like the suspect has tried to ditch the car at all. They're just kind of going and going and going until they can't, for some reason, go anymore.
Yeah, it looks real dark here as we move into South Los Angeles as well. And it's going to be challenging for SkyFOX to keep track of this vehicle as we move here. Again, we still think about all those different flight restrictions that they have and the challenges that they have trying to keep up with this person as they move so fast. And you look there at the road and how busy it is, and some of the freeways as well. It'll be interesting to see which way this person goes. I mean, yes, you're right that they did stay in the Inglewood neighborhood for a while, but it was not a situation where we sometimes see, they're near their house and they circle around the same 3 or 4 blocks over and over again and drive past the same things. That has not been what we've seen so far. It appears to be kind of random as this driver goes to places, and when they literally run out of space, they make a U-turn or move in another direction. But you see a lot of these roads nearby, including the freeways, are pretty packed, as you would imagine on a Friday night at rush hour as we approach the top of the hour here on Fox 11.
So very dark out, too, as we come up close to the 6 o'clock news hour here. Again, you've been watching a pursuit here that started in the South LA area where we picked it up, the Inglewood area on the 105 freeway. Now on surface streets after going all the way to LAX on the 101 freeway westbound and pretty much making a U-turn upon hitting the beach area, coming back on the freeway, straight back here to South LA. Again, the want is a shooting suspect. Don't know, Ellis, we haven't heard if it's a male or a female or if there are others in the car. So far, no word of any others in the car.
Right. Although they did drive in the carpool lane, so I don't know if that's an indication of anything. I don't think it is. But yes, we don't know much about the circumstances that led to this. But the intensity of this driver's desperate effort to get away, and the intensity of some of the law enforcement staying with this person in such big numbers is an indication that it probably was something pretty serious that started this whole thing out. So now we're once again in a position where we're kind of far away and trying to figure out where exactly this person is.
Yeah, so imagine being law enforcement and how many resources who've been trying to follow this. Joining us now is Dennis Zine. I mentioned your name a moment ago, Dennis Zine, now LAPD Reserve Officer, former full-time officer and LA City Councilman. This pursuit, one of the more dangerous ones I've seen in a while.
It is extremely dangerous, and not only the danger factor, but now you can't use our helicopter because of LAX and the issue with that. A lot of traffic, a lot of congestion. You've got Los Angeles Police Department. You're now entering Inglewood, back and forth. Very complicated. But if there wasn't a shooting suspect, I don't think you'd see this continuation. Normally they would terminate, but in this particular situation, because of the allegation of shooting, they want to apprehend. And you can tell by the way they're fleeing. And you've been watching this, the viewers, for a long time. It is a desperate situation for them to flee. Do they have weapons in the car? That's another concern that the officers have. There's no concern for the vehicles or the pedestrians. And you said earlier there was a motorcycle rider struck by this individual. So it's one of those very dangerous, hazardous situations, and the department is doing what they need to do with this control. They have a lot of units. They need a lot of units. They have a new technology where the watch commander is now observing through the lead vehicle exactly what's happening during the pursuit, and the watch commander will decide if they're going to ever terminate. But in this particular situation, I don't know how you terminate if you got a shooting suspect in a vehicle that's fleeing, and the hazard that's been involved to the motorists, especially now during traffic commuter time when people are going home.
Exactly.
Dennis, we're going to have you stand by here. I'm going to be signing off our 5 o'clock newscast, and we are going to continue on our 6 p.m. newscast here. Curious to see how this one plays out, hoping this person is taken into custody and nobody hurt.
So if you're watching our simulcast on Channel 13, that's about to end. If you want to see continuous pursuit coverage, flip over to Channel 11 or stay on foxla.com/live. With that, we officially welcome you to the Fox 11 News at 6 o'clock tonight. We are following breaking news. A pursuit of what we believe to be a shooting suspect has weaved its way through several Southern California communities, including Inglewood and Hawthorne. It appears right now the driver has stopped in this one spot right here, and we got a bit of a standoff situation. The driver now out of the car. I'm Alex Michelson. Marla Tea is now joining our coverage.
Yeah, so this has been going on for nearly an hour now. If you've been watching along on Channel 13 and now you're watching on Channel 11, here we are, and we are getting word that the suspect, the alleged shooting suspect, has now surrendered. So you see the standstill with all of the flashing lights. The traffic stopped on this Friday evening, straight up 6 o'clock, and that suspect has surrendered after just a wild and dangerous pursuit. Much of that near LAX, much of that through Inglewood, Alex.
It is. The good news, though, the speeds that driver was going at, 80, 90 miles an hour, driving wildly on the wrong side of the road, weaving through traffic, sort of like a Frogger game. The fact that nobody was seriously hit and nobody had any injuries in this whole thing and no vehicles sustained any major damage is quite something. It'll be interesting to know now in terms of the circumstances about that shooting. We will try to get you more information about that as the night goes on, you know, as we try to get more. And you see all the different law enforcement vehicles that are now coming to act as a backup in this whole thing. And you think about all the other vehicles that are sort of caught up in the middle of this. On a Friday night, weren't expecting to be in the middle of a high-speed pursuit.
No, you see some of the black and whites turning around. Obviously, they are trying to get the perimeter, and you're seeing it clear out relatively quickly, just like that. They are all turning around, seemingly. We have to assume at this point, given that we've heard that the suspect has surrendered, now that the suspect is officially in custody in one of those black and whites, the police down below doing the best to clear this intersection on a Friday evening. That is good to see, especially given just what much of the Inglewood area has endured over almost the last hour, going in and out of major parking lots, putting a lot of pedestrians' lives at risk, fellow drivers, innocent drivers at risk, and it looks like now, Alex, that intersection is officially open.
So that is the good news there, and we are now getting word that there is a second person who was in the vehicle who is running in an alley. So let's first try to take a look at how we got here. On the left is the live picture. On the bottom right, the bigger camera here is some tape footage. You see the suspect there weaving through traffic, very dangerous on the freeway there, moving, you know, and putting a lot of people in danger doing so, getting boxed in at one point. There were a lot of vehicles around, and then found a way to move through traffic in different circumstances. These people very, very desperate to get away. You wonder if now we know that there was a passenger, if that passenger was acting to help guide this person as they just moved all over the place. And you're looking at it there. There are varying degrees, having done so many of these pursuits, of desperation for people, and this seemed like one of the more desperate ones we've seen in a while. And the fact that it is a shooting suspect makes this more desperate for law enforcement as well.
Yeah, and so we have Dennis Zine, police specialist, on the line. Dennis, what do you make of the fact that all along there was not just one, but two people, and now that second person apparently is still out there?
Yes, whether the second one who left the car, and they have a perimeter set up, and they will hopefully apprehend that second suspect. The first one obviously in custody. The pursuit is now terminated, so the hazard to the community is now reduced significantly. There'll be a massive traffic congestion in that area because they're going to tow the vehicle, they'll have to search the vehicle, etc. But now they have the driver, but they're still looking for the second, and they've got a search going on. Sufficient units between LA and Inglewood. They've got sufficient units, and I'm sure they'll apprehend that suspect shortly.
Yeah, let's hope so. It's a lot calmer situation than it was before. I'm glad that you pointed out that the overall, you see the people that are running across the crosswalk there too. You wonder if that's law enforcement directing people to sort of get out of the way in a situation like this. But yes, Dennis, to point out that the greater danger to the community has ended, given that the pursuit is over, is terminated, but now we have another suspect out there on foot, still trying to get away from officers, trying to not get into custody on this Friday night. And given that this was an alleged shooting suspect, you wonder if this person is armed, because they always assume that whomever that they're dealing with is in fact armed. Dennis?
Exactly. Both suspects could have weapons, a high-speed situation with the pursuit and with this, and now the congestion, the traffic. It's a Friday night at this particular hour. You got a lot of people commuting on that road. There's a lot of factors that come into this, but fortunately the pursuit is now ended, terminated. That is positive, and they've got one in custody, but maybe the second one was obviously maybe involved in the shooting or situation or has a weapon. But with the sufficient units, they've got more than adequate between LA and Inglewood. Those ground units, they have a number of officers there. I don't think they're going to have a problem with personnel. They'll probably bring in a canine, utilize the canine, and they'll do an extensive search to come up with that second suspect. But fortunately for the public, the termination of that pursuit is very positive, so you don't have chaos on the highway, as we know what happens in a pursuit.
All right, Dennis.
All right, Andrew Kraft back here with Live Now. You've been listening there into Fox 11 Los Angeles 6 o'clock news broadcast as we brought you the kind of tail end and now the final end of this pursuit there in Los Angeles. The suspect taken into custody. What's so interesting, though, is a second person in that vehicle got out of the car and is now hopefully will be apprehended soon, but police are searching for that suspect as well. So two people in the car, the driver apprehended, the other passenger presumably is on the run at the moment. So in the meantime, that was a very dangerous pursuit there. You saw that black sedan weaving in and out of the traffic. The traffic was very dense and thick at this hour, about 6 o'clock there in Los Angeles. And remember, it's dangerous because it was a shooting suspect. Of course, we bring you so many of these police pursuits coming from Southern California, coming from Los Angeles County. A lot of them have to do with a stolen vehicle or a burglary suspect. But when a shooting suspect is involved, you never know whether or not they are armed. And so that was a key factor in question into this entire pursuit.